Let me begin by saying, hold on, hold on. For those of you who are planning to get at me in the comments about my hair, the fact that it's not well groomed, or the fact that I don't have on makeup or lip gloss and all of those, all of those feminine things. I saw that before I hit record. I knew what I looked like before I sat down to record this video. Long and short of the story, I know all of what you're going to come in the comments to say to me. So I know it, you know it, the fact that we both know it, and it's established that we know this, let's just leave it be. Okay? And let's start the video. Hey! Hi everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel, where I cover all things that relate to reading and the English language. I love English, so we have to put a little English stuff in it. In today's video, I want to give parents who are likely unable to afford private tutoring services for their children, I want to give them tools that will help them to instruct their child or children on how to read. So let's say this particular parent, say parent A, has a child who cannot read. That child might be 3, 4, 5, 6, and in some instances you might have an 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old who cannot read. This child is known by way of terms as illiterate. An illiterate child is synonymous with a non-reading child. Okay, so you have in your house a child who is illiterate, a child who cannot read, but you cannot afford to get a private tutor like myself to teach your child how to read. But you know the problem exists and you want to address it. This video is going to help you to address that problem with 6 tips. Just 6. Okay, so let's start with tip number 1. You're going to start the reading process by teaching basic phonics. And basic phonics is just a fancy term that explains, or not explain, that captures the basic sounds of the alphabet. So that's what I'm telling you to teach the child. When you're starting to teach a child to read, start by teaching them the basic sounds of the alphabet. Okay? And then not only that, but instruct the child on how to blend those sounds in a manner that will help them to form words. I'll demonstrate. So I have the word mat that I've put in front of a child. Mat. Okay, so the child would know t. The child would know these sounds after you would have taught them basic phonetic sounds. So they would have known and t. Now you're going to teach them to glide from one sound into the second sound, into the third sound, in an effect that is similar to stretching the sound. I'll demonstrate. Mat. So before the child turns off the sound, they would have turned on the sound and then the t sound. So mat. Okay? And then I would say fast. What word is that? Mat. 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 So you're not only teaching the sounds, but you're teaching them how to blend the sounds. And how I normally instruct my students is to allow the sounds to touch in your mouth. Don't turn off one sound before you turn on the other. Don't say at. Allow the sounds to touch in your mouth. Mat. And you as the parent would know how to explain this to your child because you know your child. You can use books, flashcards, and other online resources to help you to do this. Okay? After you have done basic phonics, the next tip I can offer you is number 2. Use a multisensory approach. Children who are illiterate, who cannot read, often benefit from using a multisensory approach to learning. which involves using multiple senses to learn new materials. So we have five senses. What this approach is asking you to do is to employ as many of these five senses as you can when you're teaching a child a new concept. So reading is a new concept that they're attempting to learn. I don't know why my hands are moving like this, but reading is a concept that the child is attempting to learn. It is new. When you're teaching them, use as many of the senses as you can. Three are three are a given: touch, sight, and the sound. So you can use touch, you can use sight, you can use sounds when it is that you're teaching your child how to read. Tip number 3. You're going to keep it engaging and fun. And by it, I mean the lessons. So you're going to make the learning process fun for the child. You're going to use games, songs, and other interactive activities to keep the child motivated and interested. If the child is not motivated or interested, they will not learn how to read. It has to be fun. And you have to keep in mind, and I might become a little passionate here, because, and my annoyance might show, because it's extremely annoying. You have a child who is either on their tablet or phones for a large swath of the day, doing so many things to be entertained. If something is boring, they switch to something else. If they're on Instagram, if they're on TikTok, it doesn't matter. Once it bores them, they know how to change it. You cannot take a child like that to a classroom that is not engaging and not fun. So make sure, as you attempt to teach a child to read, that you ensure that it is engaging and fun. And you're the parent, so you know how to engage and allow your child to have fun. So we have done start with basic phonics, use a multisensory approach, keep your lessons fun and engaging. Number 4 is use a variety of materials. When you think reading, you might think a traditional book, and I don't have one nearby. Okay, so you would think a book. I have a few on my phone, so you might think a book on your phone. A traditional book might come to mind, but there are so many reading materials out there. You can use comics, you can use magazines, you can use online articles if you want. I have a student, she's 9, and she loves mangas, she always corrects me. She always says, "Miss Dunn, it is a manga, and it's not a comic book. It's not a comic book. It is a manga." And I'd be like, nameless child, because I always have to name her. Nameless child, it's still a comic book. No, but it is a Japanese comic book. And I'm like, okay. But there are different types. I'm just saying. So you have comics, magazines, online articles, depending on the age. And for my nameless child, I could give her Magnus to read and help to, solidify the reading process. Okay, so don't feel confined to traditional books like the ebooks on your phones or actual books. I do have actual books in this house. I just don't have any close to where I am recording. So we have done those 4. Start with basic phonics, use a multi-sensory approach, allow your lessons to be fun and engaging, and then use a variety of materials. So 4, we have 2 more. Number 5, set small, achievable goals. When you set small and achievable goals, not only that, when you celebrate the process, the progress your child makes, oh my goodness, it builds their confidence and it helps them to feel like it's something they can actually do. There's such a thrill, especially for me. I get such a thrill when I hear my 5-year-old niece or favorite 5 year or my 5 year old niece or another 5 year old student I have read. And when I say read, I mean read. And I remember the first time the 5 year old, who is not my niece, said, Miss Dunn, I can't do it. And today, it sometimes slips out. I can't do it. But I just say, okay, nameless child, what does this letter say? She would tell me. What do these two letters say? Because she's doing advanced phonics as well. My niece and that 5 year old student, they both do advanced phonics. So they're able to spell words that are way above their grade level, and they're able to decode words that are above their grade level. So when they just get it, there's always there's tears in my eyes, because I know that's another point towards their towards their confidence. That's another way I know, and it has gotten to the point where the 5 year old, who isn't my niece, will say, Miss Dunn, I'm so smart. And I'll be like, yes, you are. You are so smart. And she'll go be above and beyond herself and say, Miss Dunn, I'll even be smarter than you. I'm like, sure, yeah, why not? Why not? But the process is towards building their confidence. Reading isn't something that you wake up one day being able to do. Reading isn't an observable task. It's something that has to be learned. It's something that has to be taught. And it's something that takes time and requires a lengthy process. And you as a parent have to understand that. I as a teacher understand that, and I crave that from the parents I work with. To give me time. It's a process. I'll have a student, and I feel like I'm ranting, but I'll have a student who will take 2-3 minutes fighting with a word. Every sound imaginable she would put to that word, and I'd say, no, that's not how we do it. We are using the sounds for the letters we see. Do you see the letter that makes the N sound? No, miss. Okay, so I shouldn't hear the N sound. 3 minutes, sometimes 5 minutes on one word. And I sit there patiently. I don't show annoyance. I'm not even rushing her. I let her fight with the sounds to build the memory that I need for her to have when it is that I release her in a book that will just absorb her completely. It's so exciting. But the reality is, we have to celebrate the small wins that they make. And we have to start out with small wins, because reading is something that has to be learned, and there are preliminary processes that are boring. The first step, teaching them the sounds, boring, because they're not only to know the sounds, they're to master the knowledge of the sounds. Okay, that's another video. I don't mean to rant, but okay, so we did 5. Let's do the 6th one. Be patient and encouraging, okay? It just seems to follow so nicely with what was said earlier. You're asking a lot from a child who doesn't know how to read. Spoken word does not always look the same on paper. So you're teaching them new skills altogether to develop a craft that children today don't really have use for, it seems, because you have Siri who can read for them. You have ChatGPT who can write essays for them. There is little incentive given to a child to read except for leisure. And if it is that you do not take the approach to allow reading to be fun, for it to be engaging, for it to be a doable, attainable task, they won't be proficient readers. They won't be truly literate. They'll be semi-literate, but they won't be truly literate. So 6 tips. I shared them in a longer time span than I had wanted. But I hope they will help you. Tip 1, start with basic phonics. 2, use a multi-sensory approach. 3, use a variety of materials. 4, make sure that your lessons are fun and engaging. 5, set small, measurable, and achievable goals for your children. And 6, be patient and encouraging. These are 6 tools, 6 tips that you as a parent don't need to go to school for. The sounds that are associated with the letters of the alphabet, you will find on this channel, and the advanced phonic sounds you will also find on this channel in small chunks, so it observes the rules I have shared with you. So you can use the sounds that are on here, and I'll have lessons over time, like miniature lessons that cover or model what I typically do in one or more of my online classes. So you have the tools you need. Now just arm yourself with patience and encouraging words, and teach your child how to read. If you need additional help, remember you can subscribe to this channel. In the description, there should be a contact number that you can use to reach out to me, and we can take it from there. Okay, so thank you for watching this video. Thank you too for not getting at me in the comments. Take the information, use it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.